Good morning. We are in the kitchen today. We're going to be heading outside in just a little bit, but I've got a bit of prep to do first, so I thought I would show you that before we head outside. So we are going to be looking at some pulled pork today. I've got a nice bit of gammon there to start with, and we're going to mix up a bit of a marinade. So I'll go ahead and shift the camera angle, and I'll show you how we're going to get started on it. All right, we are back. We've got our mixing bowl ready. Also, let me know if you notice any change in the sound quality, because I've remembered to actually switch on the mic that I've got now. So let me know about that. All right, so we're looking for a marinade for some pulled pork. We're going to start out just with some ketchup. Always a handy base ingredient. Dogs are going to get mad as always. Sorry about that. All right, so once we've got our ketchup in, we're going to go with a bit of Worcestershire sauce. Splash some of that in. Bottle's nearly done with that one, so I'll go ahead and just finish it off. As usual, you can tell I don't really measure these things. A lot of it's just playing it by ear. Now, although I am kind of making my own sauce, I am going to go ahead and throw in a bit of existing barbecue sauce. That's just going to adjust the flavor slightly towards this brand, and it's going to include a few ingredients that I just don't have readily at hand at the moment. From there, we are going to grab some brown sugar, add a bit of that. A lot of barbecue, when you actually get into it, you'll find out it's all about caramelizing sugars. So it's finding the right sugars to put in that cook and interact in the ways you want them to do. From there, I'm going to get a bit of Tony's. You've seen me use that one before. There we go. A little bit of salt. All right, next we're just going to add some water. And then we're going to mix all that up. Make sure we break down those lumps of sugar. And then, last thing I'm going to add in here, I'm going to add a little bit of bicarb. Now what this is actually going to do is it's going to react with some of the stuff that we've already got in there. It's going to bubble the sauce a little bit, and it's also going to help as a thickening agent as it sits on the meat. Make sure it's properly stirred in there. There we go. All right, let me open up this pork and I'll be right back. All right, we've moved the sauce aside for a second. We've got the pork here. First thing I'm going to do is just go ahead and get this net off of it. We don't need that for cooking it out on the grill. All right. Now this one's, the fat's a bit odd on it. It's not sitting on the meat the way I would normally expect it to, but that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and put some deep scores into that fat. Leaving it on there, because even though it won't pull in the final pulled pork product, It still turns out nice as a bit of a side snack. But we do want it scored before it cooks. Like so. Go ahead and put a few score marks in the meat itself as well, just because it's going to add more surface area for all of our marinade to get into. There we are, and then that is just going to go in there. Go ahead and press it down a bit. All right, we are back. We had a bit of a tripod malfunction. What I'm going to do now is just go ahead and paint a good bit of this sauce onto the bits of meat that are not quite covered. And I'll probably splash that up on there a couple more times while it's marinating. I'm going to leave this for a couple hours now while I'm getting everything ready to go. All right, we have moved outside. As you can see, it is bright and sunny today. And we are going to get the side-by-side or the offset smoker going today. Now, I've had a couple questions in regards to how you actually prep your coals, how you get them ready to grill. So just going to go through that a little bit today while I'm using the offset. Now, I would highly recommend, and I think I showed it in one of the earlier videos, if you're going to be using charcoal at all, I definitely recommend you get one of these. They're usually referred to as a chimney, but basically what it is it's a round container, got a grill about a third of the way through it. And what we're going to do is we're going to load the top of this with charcoal, the bottom of this with paper, and I'll show you how we get it started, and I'll explain what it does from there. Now the coal I'm using today is what they refer to as a restaurant grade charcoal briquettes. I tend to buy these honestly because if you're buying a lot of them at a time, because you're using them a good bit, you actually get a better price buying them in bulk. And the other thing I like about these is rather than being little square coals, what you actually get with these is you get longer cylinder pieces, and they burn better. It's a better shape. It's better for setting it up. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to start loading these in here, and I'll show you. I do load them in a particular way, which helps them ignite better. If you're using the square briquettes, it doesn't really matter as much because you're never going to be able to align them. But what I do, and as you can see, if I'll show you in there now, is I stack them so that all of these logs are going lengthways, so that as the fire travels up, it's hitting along the lengths of them. It also means that you can get more in. Right, I've got that loaded up. Next, I'm going to go grab some paper to start it off with. All right, I am back, and you'll see here I've got some Amazon packing materials. It used to be that paper sacks or newspapers was your best thing to stuff in one of these things, but, well, who gets the newspaper anymore? You don't really see paper sacks that often, but everyone gets stuff from Amazon, right? Everyone's got boxes laying around the house, and this paper that they use inside to pack is especially good for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start putting paper underneath here. Just get a good stack of paper underneath that thing. And a bit of a trick that I tend to use. I will set the chimney on top of the grill, and then I will put some extra paper beneath the chimney inside the grill. That's going to make it a bit easier to light. It's also just going to mean that there's more paper under there to burn. Now then, what is this thing doing for us exactly? Basically, because of the shape and the holes and everything else in it, the way that it's designed, when that paper burns, it's going to channel all of that heat directly up that chimney into that coal. And it's going to heat up the coal a lot faster and a lot more evenly than it would do if you just spread the coal out and then tried to light it in the grill. Also means you don't need any lighter fluid or any of that kind of stuff. You're literally just burning up some paper and you're ready to go. Another tool that I would recommend having if you're going to grill, this is a butane lighter, refillable. I don't even know if you can see the flame on there. It's that hot, but it is lit. It's a nice blue flame. Great for lighting grills and such. If you don't have one, you can get these disposable things. This is just a better version of it that you can refuel instead of replacing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up under here and I'll light the paper underneath, and then I'm also going to light the paper inside. I think I might be low on fuel after I've just talked about refilling it and such. I didn't refill it. All right, so you'll see that smoke starts traveling up the chimney. We're going to leave that for about 20, maybe even 30 minutes now. And I'll check back with you when the coals are ready and show you what we're looking for. All right, we are back. It's been about 20 minutes now. Gonna have a look at the coal. All right, now looking at it, the coal at the top here is still black. It has not yet turned white. So in this instance, we want to leave that a little bit longer, and we'll check on it again in another 10 more minutes. All right, I've given the coals a bit more time and it looks like they're about ready. So I'm going to show you what you're looking for in your coals. So if you look down in there now, you're going to see that there's still some black showing, but most of those coals are starting to glow white. When those coals are glowing, if I could not hit things with the mic stand or the phone stand, when those coals are glowing, that's when you are ready to start. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and empty them into the side-by-side portion of the offset smoker. What I mean now is I'm not putting these in the grill. I'm putting them in this box on the side, the smoke box. Chimney will be warm, so be careful with it. But we've now got our coals in the box. What I'm going to do from there to get us ready to cook is I will say you can smoke with charcoal. It can be done. It's not the pure form of it. It's not the ideal form. It's not what most people would think about. It does work. It has a different flavor than wood, but I do want to get some wood smoke flavor. So I'm going to do a bit of a cheats method today and do a bit of a mix. 1 second. All right, now I can't show you the other side of this bag because it's got an address label whenever I had it delivered. But what we've got in here is blocks of wood for smoking. Specifically, we are looking at apple wood. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw some of these on top of our coals. Now, you can soak these in advance. Water will slow down the smoking process somewhat and produce more smoke from them. Another top tip, which I've not done today, but I highly recommend if you're going for a really intense smoke flavor, is soak them in whiskey. It really does work, believe me. Now then, we're just going to throw a few of these into our smoke box. Throw that down there. Knock the grill off a bit. Now, I'll go ahead and say it before any of you do. No, my grill is not clean. I have seen barbecue channels that every time you look at them, their grill is absolutely pristine and shiny and looks like brand new. I've been using this grill for probably 5-8 years at this point. It's not brand new. And it still works, even if there is a little bit of ash left in the bottom of the grill. I do clean it up periodically to make sure that I don't have a buildup that's going to affect my flavor. But aside from that, it's a grill. You're going to use it day in and day out. You don't have to worry about it being shiny. You just have to worry about it smoking food. All right, go ahead and throw our other grill plate back on there. There we go, knock that off. Put that down. And at this point, that's your grill prep done. We are ready to smoke. I'll be right back out with the pork. All right, I'm back. I've got the pork that we marinated earlier. I've also got a couple extra bits that were short on date that I'm going to throw on the grill as well. Just a little bit of a bonus. Now then, as I mentioned previously, what we're looking at here is our heat is all in here, not in the main grill. That's going to come through this hole where you see the smoke coming out now. When I close the grill, that smoke is going to circulate and go out where my chimney is on the grill. That means this end of the grill is going to be the hottest. The far end is going to be the coldest. You want to position things on the grill to take advantage of the fact that you know that. All right, so this big boy here, we're going to put him on the grill, and I'm actually going to turn him so that the thickest part of the meat is towards the hottest part of the grill. That means the thick part's going to get more heat, the thin part's going to get less. Should help you cook evenly. Now then, like I said, I've got a few other bits that were short on date. I didn't show you how I prepped these, but I'm going to go ahead and throw them on the grill anyway. I've got some bits of belly pork that were basically rubbed in my special rub that I can't say the name of because YouTube does not like it. I'm going to throw those on now. And I am going to put those fat side up because as that fat renders, it's going to drip down into the meat and add more flavor. I've got a little bit more of the same here. And again, this was a very simple rub mixed with a bit of water into a Ziploc bag and into the fridge for a couple hours. Really cheap, easy, simple marinade. And lastly, leftover from whenever I did the ribs video a couple days ago, I've got one more bit of beef short rib. And I've actually marinated this exactly the same as I did that belly pork. I'm going to take it, I'm going to throw it back there on the back behind the gammon. I'm going to go ahead and close this up now, and we'll check in about an hour. I know, you hear me say that a lot, but that's what you do. You put it on the grill, you check in an hour later, you moisten it, you keep going till it's cooked. It's not rocket science, it's grilling. All right, we are back. It's been about an hour. Let's check on that grill and see how things are going. All right, there we go. Looking good so far. I'm going to go ahead and grab our trusty spray. Go ahead and wet everything down. I'm going to make sure this end that's at the hottest part of the grill, you make sure you get it nice and moist, because obviously it's the part that's going to be the most prone to drying out. And then what we're going to do next, I've brought out the sauce that I originally marinated the pork in. I've got my mop, and we're going to go ahead and throw some more of that sauce right on top. Give that a nice glaze. And just because, I'm going to go ahead and throw some of that same sauce on the rest of this as well. Hit the big one more time. Go ahead and close that back up. Check our firebox real quick, see how we're getting on. As you can see, that wood is starting to burn off. So I'm just going to go ahead and quickly grab the wood and throw a bit more in there. There we go. And we'll be back in another hour. All right, it's another hour later, and we are back. Let's see what we've got. That is starting to look pretty nice, if I do say so myself. Let's repeat. Hit it with the mop again. And with today's cook, because I am on the traditional offset, you will notice I'm having to check it more times. It is taking longer to cook. If I had had this on the Ninja, it would probably already be done. But I don't want to just cook everything on that, because if you don't have one, what good's that do you? So we keep going here. We are getting a bit rained on, so we want to get the grill closed up as soon as we can. But there we go. All right, let's reset the timer, and I'll see you in another hour from me and another few seconds for you. Alright, many apologies here, but it does seem that my microphone died for these portions of the remaining recording. So I'm just going back after the fact and recording a bit of a voiceover to describe what I was doing at this point. So what I've done at this time is I've taken the gammon off the grill. And yes, this is a gammon that I used rather than a pork shoulder. I know that pork shoulder is more traditional for pulled pork. The texture is a little bit different and gammon is saltier, but try it sometime. It's quite nice. So what I'm doing here is I'm just cutting the fat off of the meat, trimming away the chewy bits there on the edge. Now, those do not go to waste. Those will either be thrown back on the grill and crisped up for a bit of crackling, or they will be fed to the dogs as a bit of a treat for them. In this case, I will tell you our dogs got most of that, but it did not go to waste. They were very happy about it. So, yep, just continuing to trim off that fat and talk away about the gammon at the time. Now, what we're looking at here is I'm just kind of getting ready to trim all of this off and start pulling the pork. And for that, you can buy all kinds of fancy claws, things of that nature, but as I'm demonstrating here, you can just do it with a couple forks. You don't need any fancy tools or anything like that. Basically, just hook your way into the pork and start pulling, and it's going to come apart. Now, what I'm realizing here is that there was another bit of fat on the underside of this joint that needed trimming off. That was me not paying attention initially and not getting that off when I needed to. So I go ahead and I get that off now. And that is more treats for the dogs. Alright, now at this point I've got the fat off. I go ahead and cut into the meat just to trim it down a little bit. And as I'm doing that, you're actually going to notice that visually I have a look at it, and the meat is still a little bit pinker than I want it to be here. Now the temperature said it was correct, but I was not happy with it. So I'm going to go ahead and throw that back on the grill at this point and just make sure that it is at the level that I want it to be at before I start shredding it up. Now then, in the meantime, while that meat is finishing off, I'm going to go ahead and grab the bonus items that I had mentioned today and have a look at those with you. So what we've got on the tray at the moment is a bit of that beef rib and some chunks of belly pork. Now, as I said before, these were done with a very simple marinade, just a bit of a barbecue rub seasoning and a bit of water, Throw them into a Ziploc bag with that, leave them for a couple hours. So this bit I'm cutting into now is the beef rib, and that cuts away really easily, really soft. Almost don't need the knife for it. And right here you'll see that it is extremely juicy, nice smoke line in it. Yeah, it's just turned out really nicely. And what I'm going to grab here is a chunk that is mainly meat without the fat. And you can see in that the meat is very juicy and very much enjoyed in the moment. So, yeah, originally in the video here I was just describing the flavor of it, the fact that it's a little bit smoky, a little bit spicy, and very juicy. Now I'm going to move on to the belly pork, cut into one of those. And again, extremely juicy and extremely tasty. And you have there a very happy chef who is currently a very happy editor because I'm still nibbling on some of this stuff while I'm putting the video together. Of course, the dogs are going to get a little bit here as a treat because, well, they're out there with me all day. How could I not give them a little something with it? So, yeah, those are a couple items that I just threw in as a bit of a bonus because, well, they needed using up and I wasn't going to let them go to waste. Alright, we are back now with the gammon. It's been back on the grill, it's charred up a bit more, and now you're going to see here that I'm going to start just basically tearing it apart with the forks, and it's going to kind of flake away as I pull at it with those. Now the gammon has a slightly tougher texture than pork shoulder would whenever it's done, but as you can see it still flakes away quite nicely once you get it off of there. And what I'm going to do here very shortly is once I get a bit of this demoed to you, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, finish up, and then I will see you back inside with the pulled pork after I have marinated it in a little bit of extra sauce and soaked it. Alright, final clip of the day. The mic is still failing me. I'm not sure what happened towards the end of the day here, but we are back in the kitchen at this point, and there you have it, the pulled gammon soaked in barbecue sauce and ready to eat. I'm going to go ahead and leave the video on that beautiful image, and hopefully you guys will catch up with me next time where we will have more barbecue and less technical difficulties. See you next time.